Hello and welcome, all my Courage, Confidence, and Connections podcast fans. Thanks for joining us today. I have a very special guest today, and he is Dr. Jeffrey Berger. As he said, it's like the hamburger without the cheese. And Dr. Jeffrey E. Berger is the CEO, founder of Abundance and Optimum Wellness. He's a certified holistic coach. Today, talking about taking Today, I can't read or talk, I guess, today. Today, taking a finance first approach to achieving all encompassing personal well being by embracing new ways to true wealth in the modern world. He believes that by exploring diverse paths opens the door to true wealth in every sense. As a global ambassador for an innovative company revolutionizing the future of technologies of today, like real estate, financial, education, AI, and Metaverse, just to list a few, he's deeply committed to empowering individuals and communities worldwide. And his mission goes beyond business by providing global-minded individuals with new ways to true wealth in the modern world so they can circumvent the system and go from financial fatigue to financial freedom. Finally, he's all about creating opportunities, providing access, and building a more inclusive and supportive digital world where everyone has a chance to thrive. And I want to say, welcome. Do you prefer Jeff or Jeffrey as I address you in first person?
Jeff is fine, Janice. Thank you. It's great to be here.
Well, I'm delighted to have you share your story with our audience and tell us a little bit more about you and your life. I think you said you are located in Florida, as I recall.
I am in Southwest Florida. Yes, I was not born and raised here. I was born and raised in Western New York,
Oh,
outside of Buffalo, and I was up there for, um, a good portion of my life in Western New York. But then I was in New York City for 8 years, then ended up in Boston, Massachusetts for 15 years, and then Rhode Island for 5 years, and then got tired of the cold, the snow, and moved down to sunny Florida.
well, you covered almost every state in the great Northeast, didn't you?
There you go. Yes, absolutely.
Oh my goodness. Well, being from North Carolina, I can agree with the East Coast, but boy, I never lived north of that. I've been places, but yeah, I guess you did get tired of that, and a lot of people do,
Mhm.
and they just head south.
Exactly.
And that's
It's so much healthier. It-
I can believe that. You get more sunshine, to say the least. It's warmer.
exactly.
Now, the only thing I had issues with when I did go to Florida a few times, being from North Carolina, the humidity can get really intense, but Florida was like, okay. I think they tip the scales on the humidity.
Yeah, the way I look at it is I would rather sweat than freeze. And if it's humid outside, you can go inside and into the air conditioning.
Oh yeah.
Where up north, when it's cold, you're inside most of the time unless you're outside working and really love the cold weather. So I just didn't. And down here, I'm walking every day and getting natural vitamin D and just enjoying the weather down here. So it's been a game changer health wise, really.
That's fantastic. So I'm sure we'll hear more about that. So we've talked a little bit about your history, but you haven't always been doing what you're doing now. And I'd
Right.
like to explore some of your past experiences and talk about, you know, kind of the road to the passion for helping people live not just more healthy, but more healthy and wealthy. So yeah, let's
Exactly.
just take it from there and see
Yeah,
where you started. And so floor is yours.
sure. I'd be happy to. So, I grew up in the 60s. I'm a baby boomer, and we were taught to go to school, get a good education, and graduate and find a nice, safe, secure job and work for 40 years and retire happy. Well, I did that and then some.
Oh man.
And it basically didn't work out because we were told back then that the economy doubles every 10 years, but your retirement portfolio doesn't. So I was a software engineer for 27 years. And in 2015, I basically left corporate America from total burnout. And I was on a new path because I really, the last 7 years of my career, professional career, was really wanting to do something different. And, I was getting to the point where I'm getting older. What am I going to do the last chapters of my life? And I wanted to be able to do something where I could give back. And all I was giving back then was filling the pockets of, the board of corporate America. So left that and was out on a discovery for a couple of years. And in 2018, my doctor wanted to put me on a sixth medication because I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes in my 40s. And I was like, well, why do you want me to put me on a sixth medication? And the response was, well, you're having problems with the other five. And my question to her was, well, who's to say I'm not going to have problems from the sixth? So that's when I really took control of my life from a CEO perspective, especially my health wise. And I said no, and just said that, yeah. In 2018, my doctor wanted to put me on to a sixth medication. I was like, why? And she said, you're having problems from the other five. So I'm like, who's to say I'm not going to have problems with the six down the road? So that's really when I took control of my health.
Mhm.
My father was type 2 diabetic. He had heart disease. He had a leg amputation. And unfortunately, he passed at 70 with complications of type 2 diabetes. So that's when I chose to explore holistic options. And long and short of it is, in 9 months, I lost 60 pounds. I came off of the five medications. I reversed my type 2 diabetes, and I actually reduced stress, anxiety, and depression that was at a 10 plus for decades down to a level 1. And that was accomplished in August of 2019. And I've been like that ever since. So it's been a game changer in many ways because unfortunately, with my abundance and optimum wellness, it's all about circumventing the system. And the traditional medical system was not getting me the results that I wanted. And that's where I believe that we're in systems that are corrupt and broken. And unfortunately, um, we have to take control of our own self in many respects. So that's what I did. And I explored that and really got to understand the microbiome, which is our gut, brain, heart, axis health. And I got certified as a holistic wellness coach, teaching people about health because our food system is deplorable. There's over 10,000 chemicals in our foods today. And I think back to the days when I was growing up, and there was not as much illness as there is today.
No.
And during my exploration, I had just come to realize that the food system, the medical system is a gerbil and keeping people sick and not really getting to the root cause of what's going on. They put a band-aid on it and circumvent the true aspects about what's really going on. And that was really the start of my big journey, if you will, with regards to, cleaning up my health and getting my mind back, because being on the pharmaceuticals and being in depression and all of that stuff that was going on, the pharmaceuticals were not adding, benefiting, if you will. And it's a rude awakening. And I'm like, I think today is like, why aren't these doctors doing this today? Well, I understand they're in a system that teaches them a certain way, and that's all they know. They don't know anything. They get 8 hours of nutrition in 4 years or 8 years of schooling, whether it's MD or a specialty. And
Mhm.
that was really surprising to me. So that
Yeah.
was the start of my health journey. And with abundance and optimum wellness, I always go with the phrase, and my belief is we all should be living a life of abundance in optimum wellness, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and financially. And for the first couple of years, I talked about everything except finances, but that's now since changed.
That's fantastic. What a journey. And I totally agree. I watched my mother go from one medication to two to three to four to five. I don't know when she passed last year, if she was on like 20. Who knows? She was in a nursing home, but yeah,
Mhm.
she had a symptom, so she'd get another drug, and then she'd have another.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. So your symptoms just gave them another reason to give you more medication.
So I go to the doctor and open up the green book, and it's like, oh, well, let's try this one. Let's try that one. My mother was on 27 meds.
Speaking of
And
guinea pigs, oh my goodness.
right, right.
27. Yeah, I think I know someone who was pushing that limit too. And I, for one, am on your page. I'm just going to say this, no doctors, no meds, all natural for a long time. And lots of water, of course. I'm sure that
Well,
is.
exactly. And you know what? Plants are put here for a reason.
Mhm.
All right. And you think back to ancient Chinese medicine and Ayurvedic was all herbs and plant-based protocols. And, so, and when chemistry was introduced, I call this the body temple. We only have one life to treat it the best that we can. And unfortunately, we need to take ownership of it. And I mean, I grew up in a family with doctors, and nothing against them, but it was like, okay, let's do the next pill, let's do that, let's try this. If that doesn't work, well, then we'll go try something else. And I'm like, I'm not a guinea pig. I
Mhm.
don't want to, be a pharmaceutical petri dish. So,
Oh, I'm 100% with you. And I wound up having a little stint in the hospital because of a medical professional not doing the job properly and
mm,
doing what I figured out later. So I'm like that. I do my research, I look into it. If I know my body and if something is bothering me, I sit with it and say, okay, what are you asking for? Our bodies are brilliant. They t-
yes, they are.
they tell us what we need and help, if you sit and just your whole body, your mind, everything. But we're in such a whirlwind. You mentioned the gerbil on the, well, that's most people's lives.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think that we're just we're trained to. It's like when I was growing up, it's believe your doctors. They know what they're doing. They're the professionals. Well, are they really? And in some sense. Now, I have to say this because I always make sure that I do say this, that I'm not 100% against Western medicine. It has its time and place. When I'm passing a kidney stone, give me the morphine. I don't want to go through that pain,
I know.
you know?
No.
But I didn't need to be on metformin for 25 years.
Whoa,
Oh yeah.
that
Yeah.
stuff's bad.
Oh, well, I know now. Doing the research that I did when I was coming off of the medications, I was looking at the side effects, and we're told we're told to listen to our doctors, and here's the medication that will work for you. Well, it doesn't work. It just delays the inevitable, if
Hmm.
you will, and it just prolongs to keep you more on medication.
Yeah, and I'm really into the mind body connection too. And I
Hmm.
think
Hmm.
with the fact that if you're on medications and you get stuck in that cycle and you keep increasing and you're just dependent on a substance, you don't stop and listen. You don't stop and your body's telling your mind's trying to tell your body. And how many people have gone to their graves with probably their
Yeah,
preservatives in their body? I don't know if we even need to embalm people anymore. Is so bad, but that
yeah.
was probably a radical statement. So,
Well,
but
no, but you know what, Janice, it's true. I mean, the stuff that they're finding today is just atrocious on what certain groups are allowed to do, to be testing and experimenting on human beings, and it's just a travesty.
yeah,
And you,
well,
you go back to all these different diseases, and this will be for another talk, but you go back to the AIDS epidemic, you go to COVID-19
oh,
epidemic, and the Spanish, I think it was the Spanish flu back in the early 1900s, and all of these things that they are creating in in the labs just to test it out and see what happens when humans are, impacted by this. You talk about conspiracy theorists. Well, they're all coming true, you know.
They are. And, I don't even want to venture into World War II, but you look at it, it's just a
Mm,
different version of what happened there. It's chemical
exactly.
warfare instead of the other. And this is not a political, I don't do politics or religion on my show. So, but the point is we can become lab rats if we just keep succumbing to that. And
Right.
you want to build the body up naturally. So talk about that for a few minutes because we are going to venture into the true wealth portion because it's all one big picture. And I've had some of the most
It is.
interesting guests on here talking about a variety of these types of things. So let's go for it.
Yeah. So from the health perspective, I really, well, here, let me put it this way. The first couple of months that I did my journey, I wanted to quit. And I'm like, why? And I'm like, because I would get out there and I'd be on the bike, I'd be, doing my exercise, and I would just be just totally wiped out.
Mm.
And I had to really force myself through it and, build that courage. And the courage really came from every time I got that in my head, because we had that, nasty negative person on your shoulder whispering, you can't do it, you can't do it, you're stupid, you're dumb, you're blah, 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 blah. But
Mhm.
all I saw was my father in his casket. And I said, if I don't continue and push through and get through this, I'm going to end up like him. And I was like, I don't want to do that. So I just pushed through it. So that was the courage for me. And once you start treating your body the way it's supposed to be treated,
Mhm.
it's amazing how fast it comes back. And I share this with people that, I've experimented. I got really, really, really clean, and then I experimented with bad foods again, just to see what kind of reaction. Your body does not take well to, um, these. And I don't do Burger King or McDonald's anymore. I did back when I was working, because I was working 60, 70, 80 hours a week. I had no time to cook. So that's all I was eating, all that garbage. But doing these, some fast foods and some restaurants, and potato chips and Doritos, and it really wreaked havoc on the body. So I was just kind of testing. So I had known from my own experience, so I could share with people, well, this is what happened to me. If you want to do that, you may end up doing the same thing. So with that, it's a daily change. It's a habit. And am I on it 100%? No. In the holidays, I go off every once in a while, but it's not as if I'm doing it every single day like I used to. So it's done in moderation. You can't change everything in one day or within a 1 week. It's a lifestyle change, and it's a choice. So that's how I got my health back into gear, with the right healthy supplementation, the right foods, um, exercise, and then meditation, whether it's just sitting out in the grass or praying, or listening to music, and just kind of zoning out. And then kind of every couple of months reevaluate what's working, what's not working, what do I want more results from, and how can I get those better results by making some tweaks here and there. And so that brought me to the health side.
Yeah,
And
oh, sorry. Go ahead.
yeah, no, the last thing I was going to say is, and as I'm coaching my students with this, they were, some were getting really great results and others were not, because they weren't dedicated. But every single student that I was coaching, their number one complaint was finances.
Hmm. Oh, yes. And
Mhm.
financial stress causes
Mhm.
havoc in the body as well because our thoughts of worry and fear and trepidation. I've
Exactly.
experienced so many things. I've had emotions get stuck in my body and cause issues that that's where meditation does come in, and
Yes.
that's where it's a whole thing. It's a whole practice, not you can't do it all at once. And
No.
we live in a microwave society. I want it now. Okay, so
Mhm.
how quickly can I do a I used to do a lot of colon cleanses, and those served me early in my years. Now I've gotten other things on track, so I don't have to
Good.
stop eating for a week. But I did that off and on like 2 or 3 times a year and things of that nature. So you go through cycles
Mhm.
and learn things as you go. But I love the balance that you're talking about because if we try to go, too many people go to extremes,
Right.
and you can die from extremes as well as of health.
E-
Health,
Exactly.
yeah,
Losing like 50 pounds in a month or something. You just starve yourself and bulimic and all that kind of stuff. You have to do it the right way.
absolutely. So you were dealing with people to get back. I digressed us a little bit, but to get back on track with the health to wealth, and I identify and relate to because this is a discussion we had on our last call, and I just want our listeners to, even if they just get a taste of this, I want to explore this with you because we're probably going to have you back again. But
Awesome.
yeah, but let's talk about that connection and how you transitioned to help people with the wealth portion so that takes some of the
Yeah.
stress off.
Yeah, no, that's really great. It's a great question. And my whole that financial journey started really impacted me between 9/11 and 2008. And, as a software engineer, I'm making six figures and I'm living a comfortable lifestyle and being able to make choices. But between 9/11 and 2008, I lost over 900,000 in my retirement portfolio.
Mm,
And I was invested in high tech. And my financial planner had me invested in high tech, high risk, at that point, because my first 5 years of my life was in New York City and I was performing. And in the fine arts, I was dancing with the New York City Jazz Company and I fractured my back in a rock video. So that got me out of that whole, theater and performance career.
mm,
So with that aggressive investment. So, and then in 2008 was the real estate crash. And then to gain all that back in the next, 10 to 12 years was, it wasn't working, and I was panicking. And the thing is that, as I mentioned about over here, I believe we all should be living a life of abundance and optimum wellness, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and financially. Well, I got everything except finances situated, and I'm working in this, and I'm still thinking, what am I going to do financially? But then in 2022, we lost another 75,000 in the stock market, and that's when panic hit. Stress levels were just skyrocketing. I'm like, there's got to be something that's different out there that can change the direction of where we're going, because I would have had to really work till I dropped dead, because to replenish that it wasn't working. So, so I got introduced to this digital world of fractional ownership in real estate back in 2022 in July. And then I was skeptical and I was like, geez, I don't even have enough. How am I going to get money together to invest into high-end real estate, um, hotels, resorts, luxury, condominium complexes? I don't have that kind of money. However, going back to 2018 when I was doing this here, it's like, well, wait a minute. If I was open to exploring holistic options, why can't I explore holistic options in finance? And they said, well, what do you mean holistic options in finance? I
mm,
said, well, the digital world is a decentralized platform and we're living in a centralized where everything is controlled,
mhm,
and you don't have as much authority over what you can do with your own money as it is in the decentralized. So with decentralized, just like holistic, when I go to a holistic doctor, they don't have to follow the protocols of Western medicine. They're doing their own thing. So with decentralized, it's more about taking the power and the control away from centralized entities and bringing it over to the other side, so we have more control over our own future. So I explored that. And after 2 months of my own due diligence, I jumped on board because it made sense to me. and I wanted change. And it was like, what do I've got to lose? I'm losing in the stock market, but if
Mm.
I lose over here, I'm losing anyway on both sides. So I gambled with it, and I thank God that I did, because my financial planner blew a gasket, because we withdrew everything from our 401ks and diversified it into multiple projects.
Mm.
Not only what I'm doing here, but other things over here. And and I say, why are you blowing a gasket? And he said, well, the market will come back. The market will come back. And I just looked at him and I said, dude, I'm going to be 70 years old in 3 years. I don't have time to wait for the market to come back. So we jumped in, and here we are today. And a low six figure is now into the mid to high sevens. And with one project that's supposed to launch within the next 2 months, we'll take it up into the eight figures. So it made me open up and be receptive to stepping into my uncomfortable zone, to explore opportunities, just like I did with the holistic, because we're taught to go believe your accountant, believe your financial planner, believe. Well, wait a minute. If these things aren't working, how am I going to change it? I have to step into that. And that's what I did with this. And I currently have a wealth coach who is a multimillionaire at 27, and in real estate. So I'm being guided through him and coached through him. And we talk about the connections that we have. You talk about courage, confidence, and connections. Who
Right.
are you circling around, the closest five people that you're circling around with, getting information in,
Right.
and taking you to that next level. And no disrespect to my financial planner, he was very, very conservative, which is fine. That was his mode, but he was not willing to step out and explore the digital world, which was coming into play.
Mhm.
And he refused to do that. And for those that understand, and I share this story because it's part of my journey as a software engineer in 2009, for those that understand the Bitcoin era, what's been going on, I was offered to purchase 500 Bitcoin at 0.0017 cents. And that would have been an 85-cent investment. And my response was, no, sounds like a scam. So I probably wouldn't be here today. I'd probably be on a beach eating bonbons. But we live and we learn. And in 2017 is when the word cryptocurrency was coming more across my feeds. And I'm like, something is going on here. I think I need to start looking into this. And so here I am today, and I'm not a financial planner. I'm not a wealth coach per se. I'm being coached by a wealth professional, and I get people linked to him for more, because he is a multimillionaire. And I provide information for people to do their own due diligence. Check out, here's what we have here. And if this is a good fit for you, great. If it's not, then it's not. And it's about, for me, it's about educating people, because you need to learn first, just like I did with the health. I learned about plant-based protocols and what they could do for you, um, rather than the pharmaceuticals. Same thing with this type of an investment, because it's all about the technologies that are being developed today that are going to change the world in 3 to 5 to 10 years into the future. And in my presentation, I talk about Microsoft and Amazon and Netflix. And back in their day, when they got started, they revolutionized the industry. Back then, the computer industry, and the online delivery and stuff like that. Look at where they are today. Well, that's where we are today, where they were 30 to 40 years ago. And being a globally recognized company that is now incorporated in California, they're setting up their offices, their US global office in San Francisco. We're registered in Delaware, and they're doing an IPO in about 30 months. this is a great opportunity for people, the early birds.
Yeah.
The early birds always get the bigger worms. So those of us that are in the know now, we're benefiting from this now. All right. And we want to educate people about possibilities. And the other thing I'll just add to close this off
Yeah.
is that uh, people were really scared the last 2 years when I was introducing this to them. Why? Because we had I'm just going to say it, we had an administration that didn't embrace blockchain technology. They didn't embrace the technologies of the future. This administration does. And it's all about what is going to benefit for the betterment of humanity, which is our motto. This is our one of our mission statements is for the betterment of humanity because people are struggling. How
Yeah.
can they make above and beyond so they can make more choices in what they're doing? And with the current $500 billion AI merger with
Mhm.
Stargate, this whole thing right there,
Yeah.
it's all AI, it's all educational tech, it's all metaverse. And in just in 12, 13, 14 months, my investment in this has grown over 120, I think it's 126% in just
Fantastic.
14 months. And we're launching this year. We're launching this. And right now, the value of this is 70 cents. And they're expecting this to launch between $2 and $5. And that's a massive ROI in just a few short couple of months.
Yeah, we'll be talking off camera. Uh, I know you, this is intriguing because in my studies and in my personal life, I've
Mhm.
seen where the damage that financial stress has done to me and what it's done to others as well, and people settle and live in a certain, and it's not about mansions to me, it's not about
No,
anything, it's about living a life that I can just relax, enjoy my life, but
Mhm.
also help others and
Right. Yeah.
give. And so it's all about humanity on my, everything I do is all about helping others. And your program sounds really awesome. So I think you said you do presentations frequently, like every,
Yeah. I do 5 a month.
okay.
And I do two on Mondays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I do one on one Wednesday, which is in the middle of the month
Mhm.
at 3 p.m. in the afternoon, and then two on Saturday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Obviously, these are all Eastern Standard Time.
Yeah. No,
And people get to select what day and time best fits their schedule, and it really is 98% of this presentation is educating people about what we have to offer. And then, yeah, I'd have two slides showing what products and services that we offer, but if they're interested in that, then they can schedule a one-on-one call with me. But the objective is here's the technologies that we're using, and here's what it's done in the last several years of changing and growing. I mean, this particular um, opportunity started at 6 cents. It's now up to 70 cents. All right. And by the middle of this year to the end of this year, it's going to launch between $2 and $5. So, and I share the development of this because we've been recognized in over 12 global high-tech magazines. They
oh,
went to San Francisco for the Disrupt high-tech convention in October of 2024.
mhm.
uh, February of 2025, they were in Saudi Arabia and they were ranked number two out of over 2,000 companies
Wow.
that were there for innovation on the combination of educational tech, AI, and metaverse. And we have a working product where everybody else had prototypes. And this is huge for education. It's huge for virtual real estate, a virtual reality real estate expo, which is going to tie into our global real estate investment opportunities as well. So, and then there's three other continents that were developed because there's 5 continents. And virtual reality was all about gaming, and that's fun, but we're about education. We're going to have a gaming component to it, but
Right.
we're first focused on education. What are the technologies that are going to get the kids today that are going to change the future for them, and what can they be prepared for? I mean, I'm talking about robotics and mathematics, and they just released the chemistry module in there. And so those are the different disciplines within the educational ILM versity. Plus that is backed and accredited by Microsoft, Amazon Web Services, and Amazon by accrediting them and awarding them, and also investing in this technology.
That's really good news for the future generations too, that
Yes,
uh, taking something that has been a distraction and a negative and turning it into a positive. I love that. I have someone that I'm working with that they're doing a nonprofit that's related to helping kids get off of the addiction. But you can do that by utilizing technology in a positive way, like what you're
exactly.
talking about. That's phenomenal. That is absolutely
Yeah,
world changing. I really
it
believe
is.
that you guys are on the cusp of something. And at the end of this, there will be your contact information and people will be able to reach out to you. We can also include the schedule of your calls if you want, so people can pause the screen and make that connection.
Sure, sure. And I'll provide the links. They can do a link or they can scan the QR code.
Excellent.
Either or, whatever works best for them.
Excellent. Well, this has been more than enlightening. And of course, I was already on the health wagon there. Now it's time for me to figure out the wealth wagon.
There you go. All I can say is that I am financially stress free, and it has been absolutely amazing. So, and I want to share it. I want to pay it forward.
I,
If it works if they're interested, great. If they're not interested, great. It's information, and each has to make their own decision on where do they see themselves 3 to 5 to 10 years plus down the road.
Absolutely. This has been wonderful. And I have a real feeling we're going to have you back on. So
Well,
our
thank you,
Well,
thank
yeah,
you.
I'm all about informing, educating,
Yeah.
and encouraging people. And so you've definitely had a journey of courage. You've had a journey of building your confidence in multiple areas and the connections. Well, that comes through.
That comes with the territory. Yes,
And,
yes. And I don't know if I said this in the beginning, but I am a survivor of childhood molestation, chemical dependency, and 2 attempted suicide. So that was, the beginning of my journey. I mean, it's been a roller coaster. So there's been so much going on, and but today it's been a joy to be able to share what I've learned, and for those that want to learn it, great. So
well, you've overcome a lot of obstacles, and I applaud you for that because there's
thank
been
you.
way too much of that. And we're on the
Yeah,
same path to make a difference.
absolutely. For the betterment of humanity,
Yes.
and embracing new ways to true wealth in the modern world. And let me just say this: true wealth over here,
Mhm.
it's not about money, it's about combining the essences of physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, and financial. When you have all of those dimensions together, that's where true wealth really comes in. That is my belief, and that's what I'm sharing.
Well, actually, it's very true. And you can have all the wealth in the world, but if you're on 100 medications laying in a hospital bed or digging your own grave, what's it going to do? You know,
Absolutely.
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 It's just, so yeah, it's abundance and wealth is all about the encompassing every aspect. So,
Exactly.
that is fantastic, and we'll have a lot more to share. I want to thank our audience for listening and hopefully got a lot out of this particular podcast of courage, confidence, and connections. I thank you for joining us. Thank you, Jeff. And
Thank you, Janice.
yeah,
Really humble.
this has been eye-opening, fun, and engaging. So we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye bye.